Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, we're back.
We are, and I think that I won't be cutting out this time. I think my Wi-Fi was really crazy last time, so I kept dropping off, but, um hi,
Well, I'm not
everybody.
allowed to have my beautiful back screen because mine is cutting out now, so I will
Yeah,
deal.
we are so learning still, so I'm not worried about it.
Yes, we are.
Um, well, tonight we wanted to hop on a live because I learned about something really cool that I didn't know about, and I find myself to be somewhat techie, but I had no idea how to use this feature, and it is the SOS messaging, uh, satellite feature on the iPhone. I'm probably not even saying it right, and I think it's really useful to, like, help save lives because if you're lost out there somewhere, if you're in the middle of nowhere with no service, you can actually text your friends and family now, which is crazy. Did you know about this, Tara?
I had no idea, but I am not tech savvy at all, so I'm probably going to be lost a lot during this live. But I'm going to try to follow as best as possible because I do think that this feature would really help. If you've ever been out in the wilderness hiking at a national park, I mean, we were in Yellowstone not too long ago, and there's no service. You cannot get
Yep.
service. So if you're with just one other person, or I mean, I would hope that you would go with a couple other people, but if you do get lost on one of the trails and you need to find somebody, or if there you are in danger and you need help, I think this feature is a wonderful feature to help get that the help that you need. So
Yes, and I know there's been a lot of talk about it lately. I've been hearing, like, chatter all over the place about how it's going to save lives and how the satellite feature before the messaging even came out has already worked and helped save lives. So, I'm gonna introduce one of our volunteers. His name is Kyle, and he is I don't know, he doesn't really have a title. He just helps us a lot. He's like super IT tech guy, and when we have trouble, we call on Kyle, and he always comes to the rescue. So, he's the one that introduced this feature to me, and I thought, "Let's do a live about it." So, all right, Kyle, bringing you in.
hey,
Hi, everyone.
Kyle.
Hey. So, just I guess first of all, um, with the emergency SOS um, emergency SOS has kind of been a feature for some time on iOS where you could press various combinations of your power button and volume button to have it call the emergency authorities. With the iPhone 14, Apple introduced a new feature in which you can to connect directly to a satellite when service is not available. Now, granted, this only works in the continental US and it doesn't work like if you're lost at sea, unfortunately. But the way it works is that you will go outside and it'll walk you through a prompt. Okay, point your phone towards this, and it'll send your location and your medical information to the authorities, which that came with the iPhone 14. Now, recently, with the latest iOS announcement and the developer builds iOS 18, Apple has introduced another feature building upon that, in which you can now actually use iMessage uh, while over satellite. It's
Now,
not
Kyle, do you have to, like, set this up when you get your phone? Do you have to go in and turn anything on, or does it just work if you lose your signal?
So that's the great thing with this. You don't actually need to set anything up. It's all set up for you. If you lose coverage, you'll get a little icon on your phone that'll say SOS, and you might see a little satellite icon on it. That means you can connect to the satellite. Um, Now, the only downside with this is that if you're in a location where you can't get an easy access to the sky, that might be somewhat of a problem. But in many cases, this will save lives, and it's already saved lives. Um, there was during the Maui wildfires recently, there were there was one group of people that were actually found and then rescued because of the iPhone 14's SOS feature. This would not, and this is with fires raging all around them. All the cell towers are down. They were able to connect to the satellite and get rescued. So this feature is
Wow.
going to save lives, and um, it's going to help people.
Will it only help people if they know about it though, or have the proper equipment?
No, this is, I mean,
Mm,
it's a feature, well, sort of. It's standard on newer iPhones, iPhone 14,
okay,
iPhone 15, the various models are there. The previous models don't have the hardware to connect to the satellites. Um,
okay.
Are
but
there
yeah,
other features, because I still have an iPhone 13. Are there other features on an iPhone 13 that we could use, in case something happened and we needed to, get in touch with someone out
yeah.
there?
So without the satellite, there's an emergency SOS feature, which if you can set it, if you press the call button hopefully you can see this. Now I can reverse my camera. If you press the call button 5 times, better, got
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So and you could turn that off though, right? Because it like,
Yes,
if you
absolutely.
do it accidentally, it'll call emergency services?
So
Okay.
uh, like you can see here, I have turned off call and hold and release because it's pretty easy to try to take a screenshot or maybe even butt dial. Uh, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
How many times I've stuck my phone, like when you go camping, you have those chairs with the cup holders in them, and I've stuck my phone in those, and all of a sudden I hear this siren going off on my phone, and it's
yeah,
dialing 911,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Yeah. So, yeah,
So
that's
actually, you can
that's good.
silence that with there's a call quietly um,
Okay.
option,
Okay.
which is for better for worse. There's also Apple's really invested a lot of resources into um, not just AI but identification of emergency situations. So there's a new feature in which if it detects uh, severe G forces that would be consistent with a crash, it'll automatically call for help. As well as Apple's they're currently testing um, features to identify different vocal sounds or vocal shortcuts. It's not ready for prime time yet, but the way things are going, we could have a world in which we have our phones recognize domestic violence and already uh, getting help for us. And
Oh,
of
that
course,
would be
that can be disabled too.
Well,
Um,
didn't you recently tell me about a feature where, it can pick up target words that you say somehow?
yeah, so it's a new feature on iOS 18. It's called vocal shortcuts, and if you're not familiar, the Shortcuts app, it's basically it's an app that lets you set up macros within iOS. So let's just call a macro, I don't know, cat. Let's call a macro cat. So if you ever say, Siri, run macro cat, it'll do the actions in there. Like for example, you could say, open this app and then take a screenshot and then do this and do that, which is various single step functionality that combined together to a macro. Um, and what the vocal shortcuts do is that they allow you to skip the whole hey Siri part and just
Mm.
say, like, if you say pineapple is what I said in mine, and every time I say pineapple, it'll take a screenshot. Um,
Oh,
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 wow.
no, excuse me, it'll take a photo with the camera, and you can set it up too so that it'll can record video. Um, there
that's
is one
interesting.
drawback in that I don't believe it works when your phone is locked and turned off. However, if you do have your phone on the home screen, it's hands off. So you could have a code word that could then, and your phone set up, and you can have a code word record evidence possibly uh, in a situation that you might be in.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, as you were talking about that, but before we get back to the SOS, satellite feature, if a victim of domestic violence wants to kind of collect evidence, possibly record things, they could set this feature up if they have that phone where they pick their own word. Maybe it sounds like a regular word, and so that nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And but if it's locked, you don't think it works in lock mode?
I It should. I believe that's the intention behind it. Now, granted, it's still
Okay.
beta software, um, and it's still having issues. Like, for example, it recognizes the way you say it. It doesn't exactly recognize the word, and that's something that they'll iron out. I'm sure. It's basically, yeah. It'll work with the phone locked. Right now, it's not ready. Granted, it's still beta software, but very, very soon, I'm sure this will be available.
That's a
And
really cool feature to have. I mean, we teach our kids to have safe words. God forbid someone tries to pick them up. So that would be a wonderful feature.
pineapple,
Um, I was
pineapple,
also looking, you actually had talked to us about some safety check-in feature.
pineapple.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
really cool feature. I mean, I know we got to talk about the satellite, the SOS, that whatever that's called. Sorry.
Yeah. The safety check-in. And actually, Ryan Reed in the comments. I wanted to ask you: are you a developer? Because you seem like you pretty much know what you're talking about in terms of this stuff. But he used a term that only really developers use, which is
Oh,
kind of.
that's interesting. I was just waiting on the comments. I was gonna wait towards the end and, ask if anybody had any questions, but yeah, absolutely, if you do have questions while we're talking, put them up and we'll get to them.
Nice.
He's with Apple 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool. Yeah.
I'm
Well, then, if
I'm an
you're working on
Apple
this,
person.
then great job with it. The check-in feature, I kind of played around with. I believe it was introduced in iOS 17. However, I it, I kind of just discovered it because it's a little buried in the settings. But the way it works is that you can set a time to check in, um, and like let's just say 5 minutes, and then if the person doesn't check in, a certain amount of information will be shared. Let me pull it up. Uh, Basically,
Yes,
you
I love
have,
this check-in feature. You tested that out with me the other
yeah.
day. It was really cool.
Now there's that, Ryan. I don't know if you have any part of this. When the person checks in, all the data goes away. So if there's, I don't know if you could do anything with that. But in terms of the data that is given, I'm trying to find it right now. Basically, it gives your location. It gives the last time you've, unlocked your device, unlocked your Apple Watch, and if you're en route to somewhere, it will give you your route.
So wait,
And
what do you mean by the data goes away? Like, so is this not something that's recorded in the phone so that if something was to happen, somebody could go back in and track it?
so when I tested it with you, and you're like, the time expired, then it gave me the 15 minutes to respond, and I didn't respond, even
Right.
though it kept like making noises.
Yeah.
When it sent you the data of like what like my location and my info, I think I believe it went away after I confirmed the late check-in, which
Okay.
is something that I would possibly reconsider in some situations because if you have like an abuser who finds it uh, and they click OK, and all that info of where they are, it's just like I kind of wish there was an option to um, share this info and have it be persistent or
I
for a
just
certain
like
amount of
it for,
time.
like for kids, like, when we tell our kids, "Give us text us when you get there, or text us every half hour," or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that they could just check in, check in, check in. It's That seems like an easier process for them, but,
Oh, Ryan,
um
yeah, I downloaded the. So Ryan said you probably noticed, but I'm sure you download the developer feedback app. It's essential for getting real-time feedback from our beta testers. Helps us sort out emerging issues and address sticking points. Yep, I have that app. I've made a couple just UI comments. Like I'm not, I like it, but I'm not a huge fan of the dark icons and there's some issue. There's some UI things with the Photos app I'd tweak. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad you're here because I'm wanted to kind of. I, I'm glad that there's somebody in the know who is paying attention to this because it kind of seemed like that with the features that were coming out. That it'd be like, hey, this would be great for finding missing people or domestic violence, and then it's like poof, it's on the iPhone. Um, so, but I appreciate everything you do. I'm a developer too, uh, and yeah, just keep up the great work.
That's awesome. Let's not get too techy though, guys, all right? So,
Yeah,
let's
us
keep it simple.
tech-savvy people are not gonna be able to follow some of it, so
So
we gotta make it in layman's terms.
yes, exactly, layman's terms. Let's talk about again, let's remind people, you have to have an iPhone 14 or above, correct?
Yes.
And you have to have iOS 18 for the messaging feature.
You just have to have an iOS or an iPhone 14 or above for the SOS satellite. For the
Yeah.
iMessage feature, it's not currently available yet, um, except for beta testing. That
Okay.
will be, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that will be available to iPhone 14 and above.
Okay.
Um, but
That would be great. Because imagine being lost in the middle of nowhere and, the satellite's great, but, like, if you could just send that text to somebody that would come looking for you and get you found, I love that feature. That's great.
yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of good features. There's also another feature that was introduced in iOS 17, a sound recognition feature. Now, granted, I wouldn't recommend turning it on because it's extremely battery intensive. It involves um, like machine learning and constant monitoring of like different. Um, oh, right, yeah, Ryan, thank you for reminding. Yes, Apple Watch has SOS as well. The newer models of them.
Okay. Is it the same exact feature?
I don't
It's
believe
like
it's satellite, but I believe it'll allow you to call 911. And actually, so that reminds me, last week I was listening to the local scanner, like police scanner, just to kind of get an idea of what types of things come up. And I heard a call come out of an Apple Watch SOS. Uh, I will say
okay.
that the call was not, it was put on pause because with no additional information, the police had other pressing matters. Um,
Yeah.
and Brian, is the Apple Watch does Apple Watch support SATCOM or is that just the iPhone? I thought it was just the iPhone because of the chip that it would need, uh, but
So, basically, you don't have to do anything as long as you have that iPhone 14. Your satellite's gonna kick in if you lose your cell service.
and the Apple Watch Ultra does support satellite. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm sorry. Continue. Then there's one other thing I want to mention.
I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, how about we get into, the satellite and how to use that,
Yeah,
utilize
oh,
that feature. Let's get
yeah,
back to why we are here, why we
it's
what
automatic,
we can
right? Like, you don't
yes.
have to do anything. You have to have the 14 or above for it to work.
So if you go into settings and then emergency SOS on a supported iPhone, you should see an option. You have to have an iPhone 14 or
Oh,
above.
I don't have an iPhone 14.
I think I have a 13 Pro.
That you can
I know I checked earlier because I was like, "I think it's a 13."
it'll run
Did
you
we
through a
do
demo.
screenshots of all of this, Nikki? Can we put it up on the screen or
Yeah,
we're not ready for that yet?
I have it.
Yeah, if you wanna, like, demo it. I'm just curious. So I think I have the 13. Yeah. So
I just
I
staged a
can't do
video.
this won't work on my phone if I'm lost somewhere because I have a 13, or will I still get SOS?
You won't get satellite SOS. However,
Okay.
if you do have a new Apple Watch Ultra, you will
I
get the
don't.
SOS.
Okay.
And on the Apple Watch front, they introduced blood oximeters, which I think were really useful, especially for um, you know, domestic violence.
Yeah.
However, they've had to disable it due to a patent dispute and all that. But that hopefully that'll get resolved within the next year or two.
That's the other feature. Isn't there, a medical ID feature where you can input all your if you have any allergies or medical conditions that, um, EMS
Yes.
comes that they can pull it up even on a lock screen and see what your issues are?
Yeah. So in the SOS menu, you can see that it'll no, block out the numbers. Try to. Oh yes, you can get it on the lock screen for EMS. Thanks, Ryan. You can put in your medical details if you go into, I believe it's the health app, and no, excuse me, it would be emergency SOS, and then edit emergency contacts and health, and or no, it's not there. But yeah, you can edit your medical ID. Uh, you can put all your information. You can put custom information. I think just to test it, I put in emergency contacts, my name, my height, uh, stuff like
You
that.
don't have to have an iPhone 14 and above for that, though.
No, no.
That's on
So
because I think I have that on. I do have that on my phone.
the satellite. So the only thing you would need an iPhone 14 or above or an Apple Watch Ultra is satellite connectivity, because the other phones do not have the chip for that.
Okay.
Okay. Kyle, you made a little demo video, and you wanna
Yeah,
explain what this is?
yeah.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
I staged it. So you can see that. So this right now, um, it's settings, and then um, go into emergency SOS. And I forgot to blur my mom's number, so let me just very quickly make sure. Anyway, so you click. There's a demo you can click on the bottom. It says try demo, and then you go through a specific prompt to turn off cellular. And what you do is that for this, I went outside, and I just had to kind of move my phone around, and there was a satellite to my northeast, to which I had to align my phone with it. Um,
Oh, that's cool. So you kinda have to, like, walk
That's
around and find the satellite?
so you need a clear view of the sky, and then
Okay.
it'll kind of like it'll say, okay, like point more towards here or point more towards there. It's kind of like a balance. It's almost like using a compass, I guess you could say. So
Okay.
my first attempt here, um, you can see that I was not successful. This was when I did it in my backyard, and there are trees blocking. So what I had to do is go into my front yard and then try again.
Okay.
so.
And
Unfortunately, this wouldn't work. Say if like you tripped and you fell and you're stuck and you can't get it. That might be difficult then.
it, I would say it would work. I think you would be able to get, if you had at least some view of the sky. I think you would be able to get at least. It might take you a couple of attempts, but I think you would be able to get a connection.
Okay.
And
This is
anybody
so
could do this demo, right? Like, they could go in and do this demo on their phone and try
yeah,
it
yeah.
if they have the 14 or above.
It's in settings,
No
emergency
SOS
SOS.
in caves.
Scroll to the bottom. Yeah. So Ryan's right. You need a view of the sky, because you need to connect to a satellite, and the satellites operate on a frequency that doesn't go through walls or really anything very well.
Okay,
I gotcha.
that makes
So this
sense.
is just something that's really important for people to know, right? I mean, I heard about it from you. I don't think I heard about it anywhere else. Um, I'm sure I would have heard it eventually, but I think it's super important to and it's gonna make people wanna buy a new iPhone, I guess.
Yeah.
So
So there is one other
Well,
thing.
especially hikers and people that like to go out in
yeah,
the wilderness and
yeah. Oh,
they're gonna.
I'm gonna tell my
One other
son he
thing with
needs to
it.
get one.
There's one other thing I'd mention with it. It does use a lot of battery life. So if you're really, really low on battery life, this should be your last resort. Um,
Okay.
Okay.
So you should always make sure you have extra. I mean, when you travel anyway, you should make sure
yeah,
you are have extra like a battery pack and
yeah.
make
So
sure they're fully charged no matter where you're going anyway, because you never know.
my family, we all have these little bricks, these little
Yep.
power bricks that we
Mhm.
plug things into and plug our devices. Always make sure to have one of those. Really, just keep your phone charged, and you can actually, if you want to save battery life, just go to settings and battery and enable low power mode at any power percentage. It'll
Yeah. And
really,
please
really,
let someone know, like, where you're going, because
Yes.
that's really important. Have
so
somebody maybe tracking you even, somebody that you trust in your family that you're like, "Here, keep an eye on me. If I get lost and you don't hear from me, this is where I am," you know?
so
Mhm.
it's really easy to do so. So I there's an app called Find My that's stock with all iPhones. And I can't really show because I have all my family on it. But if you go, you
Yeah.
open it and there's a people tab, and you just press the plus and then share my location. And Nicole, I'll share it with you.
And you
Um,
could share that with your under your text message too, right? You could hit go
yeah,
into info on the person and hit share location as well? Is that
I
the
think
same
so.
thing?
I usually just go in the app. Um,
Okay.
There's also
but
another app I use actually with my kids.
Life
I use it
360.
with my kids, my nieces, my mom. It's Life 360. Um, and that actually even tracks like the speed that they're if they're driving with anybody. It tracks the speed of the car, which is really cool.
The,
But
the only
all of
thing,
my kids have it. I mean, and you can actually set up certain like families. So like I have my
yeah.
my family, and then I can set like a cousin family, like so I can have different ones that I can go on to see it. So just another safety feature that I think is really helpful.
The only thing I caution with Life 360 is that number one, it's just some random company, so who knows what they're doing with your data.
Yeah.
And number two, it's extremely battery life intensive for both your phone and the phone that you're tracking. So my family actually we started using Life 360, and we were just going through our batteries like crazy, 5 people.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we
I
that's
mean,
switched to
interesting.
at
I
least
didn't
Find
know
I
My.
that.
go on just to make sure, but I don't stay
Yeah.
on it. But if I stayed on it, then that's when it would drain it, right?
There's an easy way to tell. If you go to settings and battery on your phone, you can see and just select 10 days, so you have more of a data um, group, but you can see how much data is being consumed by that app.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. So I didn't realize
I'm
that. So
sorry,
I always
how
use
much battery?
yeah, I always use the Apple, like, the Find My. I use the locations. I am tracking, my kids, obviously, my husband, and a couple of other friends. Um, so my best friend and Rose. I track
Are
Rose.
you tracking Rose? That's funny.
I'm like, "You need to give me your location." Um,
It's smart
yeah,
though,
so
because she's traveling a lot. So it is
she
smart
does.
for us, for one of us to know, where she is.
And I'm sure her
Yeah,
mom does the same, but I'm
I'm
just
sure
like,
her mom
"Give
does
me your
too, but just
location."
having that extra person, you never
Mhm.
know.
It
So
doesn't
Yeah,
hurt to have the people who are close to you, have your location, especially when you're traveling a lot and traveling
yeah,
alone.
and not just
Um,
for
yeah,
like the situations we're talking about, like with older family members. If you have, your grandma on Find My, and you see that she's not answering the phone, but she's at home, that's like a data point that uh, could save lives there.
yeah, that's what I like
right.
about that safety check-in feature,
Yeah,
that
me
they would
too.
have to check in at certain points just to say that they're okay.
Yeah, I do like data check-in. Ryan, I suppose I should submit this for feedback too. But if you can make like a domestic violence mode or some kind of mode like that for the check-in, uh, it's way too noisy the way it is now. It'll alert any kind of someone in a situation that they are checking in with somebody.
Yeah, it could
Because
put
I
their
like
life
that
in
idea.
danger if they
because
if
you
they
guys,
start going off. That's
when I
true.
was trying it with you guys, it would set off that it would like have an alarm, like one of those Amber Alert alarms at like 10 minutes, then I do 5 minutes, and then I'd have another alarm. Silent mode, please, for check-ins, please.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll send it as a feedback request.
That's great. So that's a good idea, Kyle. That's a really good idea. Um, Vita Bella Makeup, she said she asked, "Is the new law coming through with the police training?" There's a lethality assessment law, obviously, that we've been working on, but as far as police training, we are not quite there yet with the laws, other than the lethality assessment. But yeah, things are happening, and we're going to keep going with that. Thank you for asking. Let me see if there's any other. Did you guys
It
notice
did
any other?
not pass in New York, so we
No,
got to work on that next year. So it did not pass in New York. We have to do it state by state.
it's a very
That
slow
was,
process.
yeah.
Very slow process.
We have like a matrix
Um,
of which states have passed and which states aren't. Lethality.
But we are working with the partnership and talks with them to get it going.
So Ryan said, send the information to the above resources. So is that what you were asking about the domestic violence?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll submit a feedback. There's an app for beta testers. I'll submit a feedback request and just include kind of what we're talking about.
Oh,
Awesome.
so yes, Vita Bella Makeup. There is a way for you can contact. I can't talk. Contact us. What is it? info@gabbypetitofoundation.org.
Yeah, I'll put it up.
You
Mhm.
can message us there or email us there.
Yeah, and I help with those emails.
Yes.
Yes, Kyle is a very, very good helper with a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And yeah. So let's just recap before we end things. I knew this wasn't going to be a terribly long live, but I just wanted to kind of make people aware of this feature with the satellite messaging. I think it's so awesome that you can message people when you're lost in the middle of nowhere as long as you can connect to a satellite, which
Mhm.
seems to be within the United States pretty much everywhere, right, Kyle?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, now,
It's
is it going to be? Is it harder if it's like cloudy? Will clouds interfere?
I don't know. I
Okay.
do know that it's if you have line of sight to the satellite, you should be able to connect. At least, and there's different satellites. It's not just one satellite. Um, if you have the battery life and you have uh, the time, if you're in a situation, you should be able to connect. I don't know now. Granted, there's like physics involved, and I'm sure you guys have seen like you go to a sports bar during a rainstorm and all the satellite TV goes out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so Ryan says
exactly.
clouds is fine. So Ryan, I'd
That's good.
defer to him.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm really
Ryan,
happy you jumped on too.
I know. We have an Apple person here. That's great.
yeah. Hey Ryan, email the foundation or um, I will try to reach out to you. It might not let me because if we're not connected. But
Yeah.
yeah, just love to
Maybe we
talk to
could
you more,
put
Ryan.
something together for the website to show people how to use these features, and
That would
that'd
be
be
great.
awesome.
Well, I'm just happy that like we have Apple's actually listening to um, what there's so much stuff with technology and just what can be done to help prevent DV from and other situations from just a technological standpoint. It really makes me
Yeah.
happy to see that they're doing that.
It's a game changer. It's gonna prevent people from never being found when they're lost, because it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, I love it. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask now. You can also email us. I put it up on the screen, info@gabbypetitofoundation.org. If you like our shirts,
Oh, yes, we wore shirts today.
you could go to our website, gabbypetitofoundation.org, and click on store, and that's where they are. So I have missing persons on tonight.
I have just be a nicer person.
So
So there's also the burn after reading sweatshirt and t-shirt up there too. So
yeah, I did add the sweatshirt because people were asking for it. So I said, okay. It's going to be limited. We're not going to keep that up there forever. But
Just saying we
there's
should do
still time.
matchbooks.
that's funny. A
I
lighter.
mean, literally burn after reading.
You get a free matchbook with your t-shirt. Yeah, that's great. But so this was great information. Kyle, thank you for bringing it to my attention. And I hope that anybody who sees this maybe didn't hear about it, now knows about it, and can also make sure they know about all those other features where they can follow their family members through Find My on their Apple iPhones. And there's plenty of ways we can stay safe with our loved ones, and we have to do our best to try. So anything
Absolutely.
else, Kyle?
I think we should definitely put this information up on the website.
We will. We absolutely will.
Trying to see if one of my cats want to make an appearance, but
Kyle has how many cats?
6 cats.
Too many. 6 cats. Yeah.
6 cats.
Two groups of 3. Your clicks.
They have clicks. I love it.
We will say hi to the cat before we leave.
Yeah. Kyle sends me pictures of his cats every day, and I love it.
Which
I
one
am
is
also
this?
a cat person. I at one point had 6 cats too, so I get it.
Did you really?
I
did. Wow.
This is my bestie, Tuxie.
2 dogs and 4 fish.
Oh, this one's my favorite. He needs a bow tie.
Yes. I love Tuxie.
But anyway, you guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. I know it was a quick last minute one, but I wanted to just get the information out there. We will put information on the website. We are working on our website. We're going to actually have a whole new website soon, which I'm excited about. So, but other than that, have a great night, and we'll see you all soon.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
Later.